All right, and hello and welcome to the channel. Before we get started talking about today's ban and restricted announcement for Legacy, just want to share a channel announcement, and that is that that holiday season is upcoming, and holiday season is a time when there is a lot of people that are struggling with mental health issues and other stuff. So what I want to do for the channel is that I want to start up an attempt to do some donation streams. What I mean with that is that if you donate the equivalent of €20 or American dollars to a charity of your choosing, I will play your deck on stream through a 5-round Legacy League, and of course share updates on, and also share my thoughts on how that went. This is going to be an attempt for me to see if we can get this up and working. If you're interested in donating to a charity and have me stream your deck, please contact me through my social media. They're linked in the video description, or send a message to me through any channel that you can find before you donate, so we can just talk a little bit about what you want to play and do, and then after that I'll record the league. I'm going to start with this, starting with the all access pass when that's released on Moto, and then I'll start recording. It'll take a couple of days to record and edit, of course, but hopefully I'll get in a league or two. So with that said, let's get in and start talking a little bit about today's ban and restriction announcement. All right, and we're live with the bans. So my plan here is just to quickly go through the legacy bans in general, and then I'm going to discuss a little bit on, and then I'm going to discuss a little bit on what I think the implications are for the green-white X-based depths strategies. Before we get started, I just want to shout out Splinter Twin in Modern as an unban. I never thought I'd see that coming. When I started playing Magic, Constructed Magic back in the days, Modern was the format that I indulged in, and I got into Modern at the time where both Pod and Twin were legal. I have a lot of fond memories for that, and I'm really happy that that it's back. With that said, let's focus on the legacy bans. All right, so legacy. We have two bans. We will see Psychic Frog and Vexing Bauble go. So let's just scroll down a little bit and look at the reason for these bans. So I'm not going to read the text. You can go and read it yourself, and I'm going to focus on some other key keywords here. They discussed that banning Grief wasn't enough to kind of get Demir Reanimator down in the numbers where they were comfortable with it, and the win rate where they were comfortable with it. So they wanted to look at other ways to kind of attack that deck, and they discussed if they wanted to look at Entomb or Reanimate or some of the other enablers there, but that they in the end decided to go with Psychic Frog because it kind of gives the deck a second angle. And I don't know, yes, Psychic Frog is kind of what pushes that deck over the edge. I could see an argument for going for the Reanimate as well, as it's a very powerful effect for one mana, especially with the creatures we are reanimating these days. But I'm also the proponent of maybe just grabbing the frog and see what it does to the format, and then on the next ban and restricted announcement, eventually going back to the deck as well. I don't know if the deck will be viable after the frog is banned. Maybe we'll see more Metamorphosis Fanatics taking that place, and the deck more focusing on the combo role. The thing that Psychic Frog did really good was it allowed them to play another game, but it also allowed them to kind of discard unwanted cards into the graveyard, being those reanimation spells or reanimation creatures if that strategy was turned off. So the deck itself is of course really hard to recover from. All right, so let's focus on the next ban. The next ban being Vexing Bauble. Now, Vexing Bauble, I think that if the ban and restricted announcement was pre-Eternal Weekend in North America, I don't think that Vexing Bauble would have been on this list. But of course, this is just me speculating, but I do think that it's a card that's risen up a lot lately, especially when the combo decks are running it in the deck. I used to run 1 or 2 Vexing Baubles in Depths, and it wasn't to stop combo, though that was one of the benefits of the card, but it was to kind of be able to safely go off with crop rotation or playing, for example, Green Sun Zenith or Knight of the Reliquary or something like that when the opponent was tapped out of mana to hard cast Daze or Force of Will. So I have been on the side of fair green deck gets to play a card that turns off counter magic, which I think that the card was originally designed for, but now it's been used in some other decks that are abusing it a little bit more to kind of go off really quickly. So when it comes to bans, I mean, the Frog and Vexing Bauble were probably the 2 of the top 3. I would have wanted to see either more bans or some unbans in this announcement as well. So either some more bans to kind of slow down the format a little bit, make it less about packing a combo and being able to win on turn 2, or more going towards a turn 3.5, turn 4 format, because that's where I generally like to play Magic. I do like mid-range decks and decks in kind of that category. So I think to get there are some other spells that you should be looking at, Kozilek's Command being one of them, and then maybe looking a little bit at kind of some of the more broken cards that do enable consistent turn 2, turn 3 wins. Taz's Oracle is another one of these cards that kind of slots into really fast combo decks like Cephalid Breakfast and Doomsday and Oopsal Spells and so on. So I would have wanted to see that one go as well for the mid-range aspect of the format. Otherwise, I would have looked at unbans and just let the broken stuff go. If we want to have a broken format, let's make it really broken. Maybe not the worst cards, of course, but a lot of these kind of really good cards, just push them back into the format and see what happens. So this kind of middle ground, it's better than just banning the Frog, which was something that could have happened. But I do think that they do need to look at, as I mentioned, Kozilek's Command. And I forgot also Nadu as well. I've been playing a couple of Nadu decks on the stream lately. And man, that's a broken card. So we're gonna have a lot of talk about that card the upcoming couple of months, I would guess. All right, so that's some of my general thoughts about the ban and restriction announcement. Now we're gonna look a little bit closer on what I think it does for the GWx Depths decks. All right, so we're going to look through some GWx Depths lists and talk a little bit about that. Right now in front of you are looking at the deck that I piloted on this year's Swedish Nationals, which was kind of the latest large legacy tournament where I played the Depths deck. After that, it's been at our local FNM. So I'm going to use this as kind of a discussion point to look a little bit closer at what the bans does. Now, what I would say is that just looking at the cards that they banned, Vexing Bauble didn't really affect us that much from a gameplay perspective. It turns out Force of Vigors as the primary artifact and enchantment removal card, which of course is huge for the deck, and it does some stuff, but we're not playing Force of Wills. We aren't playing that free permission, and the 3 combo pieces, of course, the maxes, but they barely count in that perspective. So the Vexing Bauble ban doesn't affect the deck that much, but it does affect the decks that we face and how they are built. So if we look, for example, for the Mystic Forge deck, which has shown that it is capable of winning through Collect Roof, Garatig, and other hate pieces, and it is a fast combo deck. So if that deck getting less powerful is good for us, because otherwise we're going to have a hard time if we start facing fast combo decks. That's always been one of the problematic points for our dear Depths deck. It also allows us to go back to endurance in the main deck. I played one for Swedish nationals, but now it allows us to kind of have that as an out as well. And that's going to tie into the Frog and Fermicabre discussion that we're going to have soon as well. Outside of that, we're not allowed to play our own Vexing Bauble. I did play one main deck Vexing Bauble in 4 nationals, and that's a little bit too bad because it was a good hit off of Ursa Saga. But it's not a card that's that stellar against the best deck of the format post bans, which is going to be Nadu. So I do think that freeing up that slot and maybe sliding up Hitting Needle or something like that will allow us to attack that matchup a little bit better. But just back to the Bauble. So we played the card. It wasn't vital for the deck, but it was nice to have. But we're going to be happy not facing Bauble decks, and the Bauble decks that we're facing, we're going to be a little bit better off because our interaction matters. I think that the Painter matchup will be a lot better for us now, because now we can Force of Vigor their moon effects. If they go turn 1 Bauble and turn 2 moon or something like that, we now when they can't go turn 1 Bauble, but just go into moon, we can Force of Vigor that and kind of play a game anyway. Although I don't know if Painter is considered as a problematic matchup or not. I tend to be around 50-50 against it, so it's not the worst. Looking at the Frog as well. So a good Scaminator hand feels unbeatable, but that's not just with our deck. I would say that a good Scaminator hand, I'm very nice to kind of not have to face that anymore. A mid Scaminator hand, I feel that our deck is okay against because we can attack both of their game plans quite well. We can attack their graveyard through cards like Keen-Eyed Curator, Endurance, Elvish Reclaimer, and then the sideboarded Fermicabres and stuff like that. And we can attack their Frogs through Source of Plowshares and some of our tech lands to kind of buy us a couple of turns till our Knights come down. Legolas Quick Reflexes on a Knight as well can be devastating for their Frogs. So I'm gonna be glad not to face the deck because I hate losing to their most broken draws. But I'm gonna miss the deck a little bit as well because I think that it's going to be replaced by decks that we have a harder time beating. I think that that's maybe the main problem for our deck from the Span and Restriction announcement, because that kind of brings me into what I would say is the new boogeyman of the format. And the card I'm talking about is, of course, Nadu Winged Wisdom. And they did mention Nadu in the Ban and Restricted announcement as a card that they're keeping their eye out for. And it's also a card that I feel that our deck is struggling a lot to beat, especially if we're on kind of the green-white saga depths list that I was. If we look at it main deck, we have Plows and Caracas. Caracas bouncing Nadu just buys us a turn or two and gives them some cards, and Plows, 4 Plows, not enough to kind of beat that deck. You could argue that a main deck Gadok Teague, as I had in this list, for example, could be helpful in the game, turning off their green Sun Senates, but it's not enough. And then looking at kind of the way that we attack the deck after board, in Nationals, I took in Pithing Needle to name Nomads, Tabernacle, which is okay against the deck, not more, and Path to Exile and Prismatic Endings. They kind of go 1-for-1 with their creatures. The problem is that you go for 1-for-1 with their mana creatures, or you go down a card against your Nadu, and you need to keep that kind of reactive hand open while you can just try to sculpt your own game plan as well, which is challenging and hard. So I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more of Nadu, and we're going to have problems against that deck, not just from our perspective, but also kind of the hate pieces that people are going to run in their decks to beat Nadu are also cards that kind of beat us as well, like Cursed Totem, for example, which turns off activated abilities of creatures. That's going to be rough for us because it turns off Knight and Reclaimer. And I don't see that the format is slowing down enough for our Knight Knight of the Reliquaries to be great again, which is one of the cards that we need to kind of work in the matchup. So there are some problems there. I think that moving forward, I have a hard time letting the Green-White Depths list go because of me liking to play Saga, and I have a hard time putting Saga in decks with more than just Green-White as kind of the main mana. But if you wanted to start working on the Green-White Depths lists, I would say it's time to look at another color. And when we look at another color, I'm looking at the red splash, mostly because of the red sideboard cards being the blasts. We want to be able to fight Nadu on the stack. Of course, if they have Halfling in play, that's going to be hard, but I think that red gives us the best options. It also allows us to play a Moloch in the main deck. I don't have that in this list, but it's a card that we should play, of course. When playing this deck recently, I'm not that impressed with Minskimbu anymore, so I think that we need to find one or two other red cards as well to kind of justify that splash, and then start working from there. I think that blasts from the Naya splash is going to be more powerful than the black cards that you get, which is usually Thoughtseize, Grist, and maybe a Plague Engineer or something like that, but we'll see. Another card that I've been looking at in both the Green-White version and the Naya version is Cataclysm from the board. It kind of helps to fight Eldrazi, which might be a deck that starts seeing a little bit more play now. I'm not that sure though, because people have started understanding how to beat that deck, but you never know. But Cataclysm is a card that we would probably bring in against the Nadu deck as well. It's a little bit a slower card, so it kind of demands that you get into the game, into the mid to late game, and it's hard to do that against Nadu. That's kind of my initial reactions and thoughts. I hope that this has been helpful in one or two ways, and if it hasn't been helpful, please just let me know in the comments, and I'll rethink these kind of reaction videos. And outside of that, keep safe. Thank you for listening, and if you have anything that you want to comment on, use the comments below. Thank you and have a great day.